Welcome back, book lovers. Today, we're diving deep into the thrilling world of Warlord Arcanist by Shami Stovall, focusing on chapters 26 through 30. Join Volke and his comrades as they navigate the treacherous path of magic, swordsmanship, and epic battles. From the fascinating swordsmanship lessons with the formidable Yesna to Volke's earth-bending training montage that would make any fan of Avatar, The Last Airbender proud, these chapters are packed with action, emotion, and unexpected twist. In chapter 26, we witness Volke's growing skills and his fanboy moments over Yesna's legendary swords, Tempest and Glacier. By chapter 27, Volke's mastering the art of manipulating the earth, quite literally feeling the ground beneath his feet, and we sense a budding romance. Chapter 28 shifts the scene to an extravagant birthday ball, but beneath the festive atmosphere, dark secrets and sinister plots are brewing. Adelgis reveals a harrowing truth about Theasin's soul experiment, and the stakes have never been higher. As we sail into chapter 29, we journey through Marcus's dream and adventurous quest for extinct creature corpses on a mysterious island, where love and danger intertwine. And finally, chapter 30 sets the stage for an impending clash, with the birthday party as bait to draw out a deadly assassin. Get ready to unravel these exciting chapters with me. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more updates on your favorite fantasy series.
Welcome back to the First Guild Podcast. I'm your host, Eric.
And I'm co-host Scott.
And today we'll be going over Warlord Arcanist, chapters 20-30. And before we get into it today, we always want to thank everybody that listens, everybody that supports the show. Give us, if you could, give us a comment, like, share, subscribe, anything like that. Also want to remind everybody that the Frith Chronicles wiki link is in the description below, along with the link for the Capital Station Discord server as well. Hopefully everybody has had a good solid chance to read Labyrinth Arcanist, because it's been out for like 20 whole days. So not going to be talking about it, but hopefully you've had a chance to read it so far.
Very excited for it.
Yay. And with that, we're going to get into chapter 26, the Ace of Cutlasses. Anytime that I see the word cutlass, I automatically go to like the Gerudo pirates from Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask.
When they described her, that's the first thing I thought of. Like, she very much feels like she's dual wielding them. Like, it feels like Gerudo woman.
And even with her description of her armor and stuff, like I almost wanted to say it's like your atypical female role-playing game armor, where it's literally just covering the swimsuit area.
Yeah, they said her moves are dancy, so her armor can't get in the way. It's like, oh, that's the excuse they use.
Right. But then I'm like, well, but again, it reminds me of the Gerudo women, so I think that's where Shami was going with it, with her character at least. I love that Volke is essentially just straight fanboying over Yesna and her swords, Tempest and Glacier, which are pretty badass names.
Yeah, that's amazing, and they come from the powers. She's got a whole setup.
Right, like she is chef's kiss. She has made her perfect image. Now, we also discussed that she has Siren as her Eldarin, and for those that are normally used to the half woman, half mermaid kind of looking thing, sirens in this world are more based off of the Greek sirens, the half women, half bird. They still sing very beautifully, but these are essentially the half woman, half bird, not half woman, half fish. Now, there's a little bit of like playing going back and forth between her and Zelfrey, and she even makes an offer to Volke about helping to train him with his swordsmanship, and Volke kind of just like, okay, and Zaxxas is just like, you mean yes, you will train with her, like super excited. I think he's kind of jelly.
He is, but he doesn't have a weapon, so he can't get any help.
He's probably like, I use a sword.
I will.
Like, give me your sword right now. We also find out that Eventide is working very, very diligently on expanding the guild to the point where they won't even like recognize the names of every single guild member here. And again, this is one of those things that Zelfrey kind of playfully banters with Yesna about, kind of teasing her that she hasn't been there for anything. And then we kind of like fast forward for like a 2-week montage of training, and Volke is getting fairly good with his manipulation with the earth. And Karna kind of comes out and surprises him and starts giving him some like Uncle Iroh philosophical sayings, especially with tea. Like totally getting the Uncle Iroh vibe with that.
It is, and it's so funny that she loves her tea metaphor. She's like, it works.
I mean, I'll give her kudos to that. I mean, she even says that tea is only made whole when all the elements come together.
It's well thought out.
Yeah. Like, she does a really good job at explaining this, and this is kind of that, like, light bulb moment with Volke, that he's like, I've been thinking of everything completely individually here this whole time, where I should be thinking about it all as one whole thing. Volke does request that Karna helps Riker with his magic, because Riker doesn't like the feeling of being transformed or transforming, and it's mainly due to the bones like moving all over the place. And I feel like I could get on board with Riker's feeling on that.
I get not wanting to do it, but also the thought of having a power is just so exciting that I feel like I would be like, oh, I gotta do this. Like, I'm fanboying over not having a power.
Right, like, oh my gosh, like, let me have an opportunity to use this. Like, I imagine, like, for Harry Potter, like, when you turn 17 and you can use your magic without anybody getting upset or anything like that, like, yeah, go at it, go to town whenever they want.
Apparate everywhere.
Everywhere. 5 feet away, apparate. So, in return, Karna requests that she gets to throw Volke a birthday celebration in return. And she even brings up a very valid point that Ilya and Eviana are kind of in the plans of doing something as well, but Karna feels like this is going to be a little too modest of a celebration.
That brings us to chapter 27, A Master of Terrain and Nightmares. So we go back to Volke training with Zaxxas, specifically altering the terrain in battle, and he ends up creating like a moat, like a crater moat thing around Zaxxas, and then wrapping him in the dirt, and Zaxxas no likey.
And Volke is essentially learning how to become an earthbender.
He really is. He's moving terrain around on a small scale, not on the level that we've kind of heard the stories of, but is getting used to using his magic, and he does realize that he is able to sense things through the ground as well. So he can almost pick up where people are and how they're moving based on where their weight is shifting. So it's a very sensitive feel that he has. Ilya is there to help kind of make sure nothing bad happens. She can always kind of teleport in and save anyone if needed. And Zaxxas does have this moment where he calls her his starfish, which just feels like just the strangest pet name. I just picture the little guy from like Finding Nemo and be like, I'm your starfish.
And I love how like upset she gets about this. She's like, this is not something you're supposed to use in public.
This is our thing. Nobody else gets to hear it. Volke goes on to start training with Eviana, again, helping her to master her powers. She wants to create an aura. She knows he did it at one point. She's seen kind of the power of it. She ends up quoting the pillar, like trying to encourage him. So she's been prepping her speech for this one. And we do get this speech where she kind of confesses how much she likes him in a way. So it's kind of a little more insight into their ship growing. We skip into Volke's dreams again. He again has that same dream of going to the castle. He ends up waking up and evoking magma kind of all over everything, setting everything on fire. Runs to go to Ilya's room. Adelgis and Fane are there, and we end up having this discussion of just being afraid that he thinks based on kind of what he's hearing, that his sister might die.
And that's where chapter 28, Birthday Ball, picks up at. We get this idea that Adelgis believes that Theasin has used her soul as part of some kind of weird, crazy experiment that he's trying to feed mystical creatures parts of somebody's soul without having to bond. And as much as I want to be like, this is weird, it's also Theasin, and it's also that he kind of convinced Adelgis to have an abyssal leech attached to him for a while, so it's not out of the realm of possibilities by any stretch. Nickling has this little funny moment about spending his spare time trying to raise couriers across town, and that he has now lost his privileges of being out in town with Ilya because she finds out. Are we truly surprised about this? Like, come on.
It's more, what was he going to be doing? Like, he's up to something no good.
Exactly, especially because he's like, oh, well, my friend is the world serpent arcanist, so I need to do what I want.
Yeah, it's his get out of jail free card.
And this all gets brought about because Adelgis is really just wanting to have his sister close to him. He wants to see her and spend some time with her while they're in Fortuna. So they're going to send a runner, somebody to send an invitation. This does it's not as straightforward as we would expect, though, because the last time that we met his mother, she wasn't too happy about the Frith Guild in general. She wasn't happy with Volke in general, so I will have to see how that goes to convince her to get there. Adelgis is thankful with Volke about being concerned about Adelgis' welfare, because he knows that Adelgis is under a lot of stress too. And I think this is one of those moments where Adelgis really loves Volke in general. Like, his company, his demeanor, his attitude, all of that, so...
When you take on everybody's attitude all at once, if you find a good one, I can definitely see latching on to that one.
And I imagine even just having Volke present in the room is probably enough to put Adelgis at ease. Ilya claims that she is prepared to go to bed, and Volke finds out that Ilya and Zaxxas are sharing a room together. And with Fane being Volke's knight, Fane offers to make sure that they never get a peaceful night of sleep again. And all I can think about is Fane not even being, like, standing at the end of the bed being really creepy, visible. I feel like he would just knock a book off the shelf or basically make him think that it's haunted.
I also could see you're them. Fane's not even in the room and you're just sitting there, just shaking here. Because it's like just the always constant, like, throwing something across the room just to see, like, if it hits anything, like...
For knowing. Oh, gosh. Fane does ask that Volke requests Cinna and his mother to live at the compound while they're in Fortuna, and Volke knows that his mother will not accept an invitation from him. He does think about something very clever, and that he knows that Adelgis' mom is a socialite. So we know that if she receives an invitation from somebody, maybe like a king, maybe a king that we have in our service, like King Odeon, to send the invitation, she'll probably accept it. Back to training and this whole, like, set of chapters, and I feel like we're almost to a little bit of an excitement here again. It's not just necessarily like a filler. I feel like it's that movie montage. You get a good minute or so of, like, Rocky training in the snow, and then you get another clip of him doing upside down sit-ups, and so you get little bits and clips of him training. And one of the biggest problems he's having is having all the weight from his obsidian. So rather than trying to train with it all the time, Zelfrey decides to basically just get a coat that's super heavy so that he can train with it to simulate having the extra weight. And for some reason, when Zelfrey teleports out there with the Rizzo magic and the glitter, it says, it just popped in my brain of, like, when you got headshots in the original Halo, and it'd be like, hooray! And there's confetti that flew around, like, it just popped into my brain, and I could never unthink of that.
Just this blast of glitter. Headshot.
Now, there was a servant that came out and said that the birthday ball has been set in place, and it's going to happen in a fortnight. And just so that nobody's confused about what Fortnite is, no, it is not Fortnite, the game where you go run around and build things and shoot people. Fortnite means that there's 14 days away.
2 weeks. That's no.
Yes, 2 weeks.
That brings us to chapter 29, Marcus the Pirate. So Eventide is setting everything up for the actual celebration. We go back into our dream world where we are Marcus, so Adelgis is weaving this dream for Volke, and they go to an empty island to collect these extinct creature corpses, which are these... Sorry, it's a B and a D next to each other. I'm not really sure how that pronunciation goes, but these creatures are very deadly. They were actually poisoned by a lot of treasure hunters because That's really like the only thing that they're weak to. They're immune to pretty much everything else. We also get this image of Hellion, giant Manicore, playing with a little cub, just being like, hey, okay, I'm teasing you, teaching you how to fight, which I think is a pretty sweet scene as far as all the scenes go. We do also find out that Callisto is being paid essentially in trinkets by the Autarch, so you can imagine the Autarch has access to some pretty powerful magic, pretty powerful imbuing and items, so we can only imagine what Callisto is now holding up his sleeve. We do also find out, we already knew this, but a little more insight that Marcus and Callisto are lovers in the night. Before we can kind of find out too much more, we get Volke being woken up by Karna, who has been impersonating Yesna. Details about the party, because Yesna is a master arcanist and therefore has more access than Karna. So kudos to Karna with the thinking there. And then we do also learn that while we know there's an assassin after Volke, the party is essentially being used as bait for that. So the guild is trying to draw the assassin out, have the assassination take place where the guild would be able to help Volke out, be on the lookout. So the party makes the perfect opportunity for that.
And with that, chapter 30, social acumen. And I have to admit that I had absolutely no idea what this word meant. And I actually looked it up and I totally forgot what it meant. So not trying to be like word nerd, but it's just one of those odder words that we come across. And again, word nerding here. It means the ability to make good judgments and make decisions, typically a particular domain, like such as business or something like that. So, word nerd, sorry. And with that, definitely, like understanding that with the title of the chapter, social acumen, makes a lot more sense now, because basically Karna is the very good making decisions with that. He is in his bed, under his covers, when he wakes up. Volke is not dressed at all, has nothing on at all.
He's got to learn at some point to stop doing this.
He's got two extremes. Either he falls asleep with all of his clothes on, or he falls asleep with no clothes on. I feel like he needs to find a balance there somewhere.
Find some pajamas.
Yes. You don't have to wear a shirt, just wear pants. Like, come on now.
Something.
Oh, he realizes, though, thankfully, that Karna has listened to what he's asked, and that she not to just show up naked in his bed. And she's wearing a dress, thankfully, and he asks that she keeps her clothes on, and I imagine that Karna probably is completely and totally dumbstruck that somebody has ever told her in her life to keep her clothes on, please. And in her fairly natural state. Obviously, we don't know exactly what she looks like, but... Now, Volke starts to talk about how he's worried about so many other things. He's worried about the ball, he's worried about the assassin, he's worried about the second ascension. He's worried about everything. And he needs to start to remember he doesn't need to be looking at the small picture. You need to be looking at the big picture. I know hindsight's 20/20 on this kind of thing, but he really need to start letting things go so that way he just doesn't stress so much.
One thing at a time.
Yes, exactly. Closest alligator to the boat, as the expression I learned down here. Karna is, again, concerned about his love life because, we remember that she wants to be involved with him, and she even offers to be his companion, and Volke is kind of confused about this and what she means, and she finds she's like a whore.
I appreciate her bluntness. She's not afraid to lay it out there.
Right, but at the same time, I don't like that she talks down on herself like that.
I don't either, and I think it's one of those things where she is still confused because she thinks that's what Volke is like missing or looking for, because that's what, she was in a society where that was what everyone was expecting from her. So she feels like that's what she has to offer when, like you put it, there's so many other skills that we have. We've seen how clever, how talented she is outside of any other skills.
Yeah. So I like that like you said, I like she's so blunt, but at the same time, it's not who she is anymore. And in all reality, she just wants Volk to get over his puppy love phase so that he can move on to become her thing. Now, with this, it moves into a little bit more of a funny scene of Volk asking, well, how would I go about saying that I may possibly like somebody? How would you go about that? And she puts this whole skit on, and I don't know what Volk was thinking when he asked this, because you kind of could see it coming a mile away.
They're on two different levels. Volk's like, I have a little crush on someone, but she may have cookies. Carter's
Yes.
like, yeah, we're doing real world things here.
And she does her thing, and it's just one of those, again, you just, like, come on, Volk, you walked right into that. Please.
I don't know what you expected.
Right. I think as soon as he probably said it, he was like, fuck it.
The A button mash when you accidentally talk to somebody again, just like...
Well, she's even, like, getting him dressed, too. Like, she's like, here, you try out, here's this shirt, here's those pants. And finally, he gets a chance to escape the room. He runs into Yesna, and she mentions that the Javan Arcanists have ways to dispel invisibility and illusions for those that are trying to sneak into the compound. She's also trying to kind of get the hell out of there, like get away from Volk. I'm not sure why, but it seems like she doesn't want to have any kind of very long conversation with him. One thing I was curious about was, how do they have the ability to dispel invisibility or illusions? Because I imagine that it wouldn't be just Nullstone.
No, and we didn't figure out what it was, but we saw with Thane when his magic was dispelled. That seems to have been their magical artifact, and even then, we know that's not Nullstone because we saw that when Thane was on the boat, as long as he entered the Nullstone with his magic, he kept his magic. It was if he turned it off, he couldn't turn it back on. So it does seem to be some, I don't know if it's like a magical artifact or some sort of other creature that they have. We never really got the explanation before when Thane lost his invisibility.
Shami! Maybe I'll reach out and be like, hey, what is it?
We've got important questions.
See, these are the questions we need answers to, okay?
Yes.
Volk makes it outside to continue his training with Zelfrey, and very, very thankfully, Zelfrey decides to spill the beans on why the large celebration, especially because Zelfrey was one of the ones that were like, no, we need to keep this, like, hush-hush, quiet, down low. He does the, like, super suspicious, like, nobody can see us or hear us, nobody's around. Like, okay, we're going to try to use you as bait for the assassin.
If you were Volk, that is not what you want to hear. Like, we know the Second Ascension, who is very strong, is going to send somebody to kill you. They will probably be also very strong. Be bait.
Well, but realistically, this is Volk in a nutshell, because he wouldn't accept anybody else being put as bait.
No, he wants to be the bait. That sounds wrong, but it's true.
Yeah, it is 100% true. Like, if anybody was going to be it, he was going to be it. Now, Zelfrey only told Volk because Zelfrey also knew that Volk would worry about this the entire time, up into and including the celebration as well. So, thankfully, he has somebody in Volk's corner to keep his eye, keep him in the loop of what's going on. And finally, Volk is finally like, you know what? I don't got time for this shit anymore. Like, just do what you gotta do.
Took him chapters to get there.
Like, he made a comment earlier about delegating, and I'm like, yes, you're figuring it out. Now he's just like, fuck it. Okay, do what you gotta do.
Do it.
Have at it. And that's the whole point of having even Titus his advisor. He wants to be in everything when he shouldn't be, so.
Yeah, you gotta trust your people at some point.
Right. with that, though, ends chapter 30 and this week's 5 chapters for Warlord Arcanist. Next week, we'll be continuing on to chapters 31 through 35. Unfortunately, we don't really have too many mystical creatures. There are new creatures to go over this week. And I know we did mention the Siren earlier, but we're going to see a lot more of it coming up. And I think we're going to go over to that one when we see a little more of that in action. This will happen.
Siren song.
So excited. But with that, I think we'll be ending today's section. And again, if you haven't read Labyrinth Arcanist, what are you waiting for?
Get on it. It's been out for a few weeks now. You should be done with it.
Yeah, we should all be sitting here anxiously awaiting the next book in the series, because that's just what we do.
And with Shami, it'll only be a couple months.
Oh my goodness! Thankfully, yes. I can only imagine other authors doing this. So
Having to wait a year and a half for the next book to come out.
Well, like the Fourth Wing series, Onyx Storm, and then I heard it's supposed to be like 2 years for the next one, the fourth book. I'm like, why? So, all right, Scott, did you have anything else you'd like to add this week?
Nope, all set.
All right, we'll catch you guys next week.